It looked like a dream. Lewis Hamilton in scarlet red topping the timesheets at Monza. The crowd erupted, the Tifosi cheered, and Ferrari landed a shocking 1-2 in FP1. But behind the cameras, something didn't add up. When Hamilton crossed the line with a 1:20.117, his radio stayed cold. No great lap, no P1 confirmed, just silence. The kind of silence that doesn't celebrate, it calculates. Because while the world saw Ferrari dominate a Friday session, insiders saw something else, a shift in control inside Maranello. Hamilton wasn't just fastest. He did it using a torque mapping setup that had been previously rejected, a spec pushed by his engineer Riccardo Adami against internal resistance. The car was sharper, more responsive, and less degraded than Leclerc's, even with more downforce. That wasn't a coincidence. It was rebellion, with data to back it up. And for a team as political as Ferrari, that kind of insubordination doesn't go unnoticed. What if Monza wasn't about speed at all? What if this was the moment Hamilton took control, not just of the car, but of the narrative? Before the red car even hit full speed at Monza, Hamilton was already penalized. A 5-place grid drop issued not for anything he did in Italy, but for allegedly speeding near the pits during reconnaissance in Zandvoort. A procedural infraction under double yellows based on telemetry no one in the Ferrari garage was alerted to. Convenient timing? Maybe. Because just as Hamilton begins to gain momentum inside Ferrari, external forces begin to pull him back. Yet instead of protest, he delivered. FP1, fastest. FP2, top 5, despite running a heavier program. But listen to what he said after the sessions. The car was better, and it will be better tomorrow, because I'll make the changes tonight. That wasn't just optimism, it was defiance. Hamilton knows the penalty is real, but so is the opportunity. Ferrari expected emotion. Instead, they got clarity, because for Hamilton, Monza isn't just a home debut, it's a strategic test. How do you lead a team that still sees you as an outsider? You beat them at their own game. On Friday, Hamilton didn't ask permission, he imposed precision. And the penalty? That's just the price of stepping out of line. On paper, Ferrari was united, 1-2 in FP1, top 5 pace in FP2. But peel back the telemetry and you see a different story. The two red cars weren't running the same program, not even close. Leclerc tested a lighter floor and a safer aero setup chasing predictability. Hamilton ran a more aggressive map, riskier in theory, but lethal in execution. One engineer put it plainly. They weren't just comparing drivers, they were comparing ideologies. Leclerc complained of inconsistency, said the car was tricky. Hamilton? He said it felt amazing until they changed it. In FP2, Ferrari asked Hamilton to test a more balanced spec. The car slowed down. Leclerc stayed P2, but it wasn't the pace that alarmed insiders, it was the feedback. Hamilton requested to revert to his FP1 baseline. That request wasn't scheduled, it was decisive. Behind the scenes, this triggered a quiet reshuffle. Adami pushed the revert. The data team approved it, but not everyone in management was happy, because suddenly, Hamilton's preferences weren't being filtered, they were being executed. In a team known for hierarchy, that shift matters. At Monza, Ferrari ran 2 drivers, but only one ran like the car was his. Riccardo Adami wasn't supposed to be Hamilton's engineer. He was reassigned from the Leclerc camp to manage the incoming 7-time champion, a gesture of experience, not rebellion. But what started as a role of integration has turned into something far more dangerous inside Maranello. Insiders say Adami has become a firewall, not just interpreting Hamilton's feedback, but quietly executing it, even when it contradicts the team's standard protocols. In Monza FP1, Adami approved the controversial torque map Hamilton used to top the session. It wasn't in the original run plan. It bypassed a layer of performance management, and it worked. After the session, Hamilton's radio message was telling, "Balance felt better than I expected." Adami replied, "That's the one I fought for." Fought against whom? That question is now echoing through Ferrari's political structure. Because every successful deviation sets a precedent, and Adami is no longer neutral. To some, he's enabling Hamilton's takeover. To others, he's just doing what Ferrari refused to do for too long, give their top driver the tools to win. Either way, in Monza, Adami didn't just call the shots, he crossed the line. And the paddock noticed.
Charles Leclerc finished second in FP1. He stayed in the top 2 in FP2. On the surface, it was a strong day, but those watching closely saw something else. No fist pumps, no garage celebrations, just a quiet, almost detached presence in the paddock. When asked about the car, his words were careful. It was tricky, but fast. I'd rather be here than consistent and slow. But insiders say Leclerc wasn't just talking about handling, he was talking about control. Because in recent weeks, the power dynamic inside Ferrari has shifted, and Monza made it visible. For the first time, Leclerc wasn't setting the technical tone. He was reacting to it. FP1 saw him running a conservative spec while Hamilton took risks and reaped the rewards. FP2 tried to recalibrate that balance. It failed. Leclerc's data showed rear instability, tire drop-off, and inconsistent corner entry speeds. Hamilton, despite running heavier, posted more stable deltas. The kicker? Leclerc requested an extended simulation session after FP2, asking for non-standard run conditions. Not preparation, surveillance. Because if Hamilton's setup works again on Saturday, the question inside Ferrari won't be who's faster, it'll be who the team is listening to. It's everything I dreamed of, and more. That's what Hamilton told F1 TV after Friday's sessions at Monza. The red car, the Tifosi, the roar in the garage. On paper, it was the homecoming of a legend. But behind that smile was something colder, a calculation. Because Hamilton knows what's really at stake this weekend. This isn't just about winning at Monza. It's about reshaping Ferrari from the inside. And he's already started. His comments after FP2 weren't just analysis, they were coded signals. It'll be better tomorrow. I'll make the changes tonight. That's not hope. That's control. Within the team, there's a growing realization that Hamilton isn't waiting for Ferrari to evolve. He's dragging it forward, one setup override at a time. Adami's loyalty is no longer in question. The performance team is split. Even strategy briefs are being adjusted to accommodate Hamilton's run plans. Meanwhile, Leclerc's watching the structure he once commanded. Slip. His voice still matters, but it doesn't lead. And in a team that has always protected hierarchy, that shift is dangerous. Because Ferrari doesn't just face a performance battle, it faces a philosophical one. And Monza may be the first track where that battle becomes public. From the outside, Ferrari looked stronger than ever on Friday. Fastest in FP1, competitive in FP2, both cars inside the top 5. The Italian media called it a return to form. But inside the garage, unity is unraveling. Engineers are no longer aligned. Strategy groups are fragmenting, and the political core, Vaster's leadership team, is facing pressure from both sides. Because Friday wasn't just about performance, it was about who controls Ferrari's future. On one side, Leclerc's camp, rooted in tradition, stability, and legacy. On the other, Hamilton's circle, precision-focused, data-driven, and willing to break protocol to win. FP1 was the crack. FP2 widened it. What comes next could be collapse. Multiple sources say that internal discussions after Friday were split into 2 sessions, one led by Leclerc's camp, the other quietly structured around Hamilton's feedback loop. Not a full split, but a segmentation of influence. That hasn't happened since 2019, and back then, it led to internal resignations. This time, no one's resigning. They're digging in. Monza isn't just Ferrari's home race anymore. It's a battleground for ideology. And as it stands, the driver with the penalty is the one dictating the tone. Saturday is coming. The Tifosi will flood the grandstands expecting glory in red. But what they won't see, what the cameras won't show, is that Ferrari stands at a fork in the road. One path clings to tradition, careful strategies, political caution, and the golden child from Monaco. The other is Hamilton's. Aggressive setups, tactical precision, and a quiet dismantling of old hierarchies. And now, the numbers are speaking. Hamilton's data has exposed weaknesses in Ferrari's established baseline. His feedback is shaping simulation priorities. His engineer is bypassing traditional filters. And his confidence? Unshaken by a 5-place penalty that would derail most. Because Hamilton isn't here to play nice. He's here to rebuild Ferrari or break it trying. If qualifying confirms his pace, if Sunday shows he can slice through the field, then this weekend won't just be about Monza. It'll be about a new Ferrari, where silence is no longer safety, and loyalty to outdated systems is no longer tolerated. The question no one wants to ask now echoes through Marinero's walls. Will Ferrari choose its past or its future?